Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us once again for our daily English news edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. The most recent data from INSTAT indicates that Albanian families are spending more than they were on the education of their children and on paying their bills. The consumption of the Albanian families has decreased by 6% over the last 5 years. But INSTAT says that they are now spending more money on the education of their kids. The INSTAT director, Gjergj Filippi, said today that the average person in Albania spends 18,000 lek per month. In Tirana and the surrounding areas, people spend more money on clothing and shoes. But in Dibra and Vlora, food accounts for the largest budget of the average family. Albanians pay special attention to the purchase of vehicles, an item that has increased by 30%. On average, Albanian families are spending 10.2% of their monthly budget paying electricity and water bills. A crowd of Tirana University students held a protest today outside of the parliament against the bill on higher education. The students threw eggs at the vehicles of the Minister of Health and the Secretary of the Education Ministry while they were entering the parliament. There was also heated debate with the police in front of the building and some physical confrontation. The students are strongly against one point of the law in particular, the point on the autonomy of universities. They claim that this law will favor the private universities over the public. The protest lasted for about an hour, and it comes on the same day that the majority was to present their reasons for supporting the bill to the parliament. The Minister of Education believes that the number of unqualified teachers in Albania has decreased. Invited to be a guest last night on Tonight Il Vetare, Minister Nikolla declared that 4,000 teachers have been replaced who were teaching outside of their profile, meaning that they were teaching subjects for which they were not qualified. She said, "Out of 4,000 teachers that we tested, 2,064 did not have the relevant education, and the others were working outside of their profile. We have replaced these teachers with educators who are licensed and qualified. Now there is only a small number of teachers without the relevant education or working outside of their profiles, and they are in the remote areas where schools have only 4 or 5 pupils." The minister explained what happened with the Hotolist teachers. According to her, the teachers were suspended by the Director of Education, but the decision was not based upon the law, but rather a solution to the concerns of the community. On the subject of the law, she said that the law on higher education will be approved, even without the president's decree. She feels that the president was only playing political games when he decided not to decree the law. The World Bank has published a report on the labor market in Albania, indicating that informality is at 48%. According to the report, 70% of the employees in the construction sector are not registered. Informal employment in the public service sector is at 46% and 35% in the industry sector. According to the report, almost 1 out of every 2 Albanians works under the table, a fact that implicates big businesses. In addition, the World Bank finds no increase in the number of employers paying insurance for their workers. Albania faces many challenges in the labor market. The agricultural sector employs a large blue-collar workforce, most of whom are considered to be self-employed. Outside of agriculture, informality is also high, and the unemployment figures show the poorest results for women and young people. Today, the Albanian government presented a memorandum of cooperation between the Interior and Financial Ministries, as well as the Prosecution. This agreement is in the framework of the fight against informality. Prime Minister Rama spoke about this ongoing fight today, saying that the justice system will not forgive the violators. This memorandum is based upon the cooperation between 3 institutions to strike a blow against financial crime, which has affected Albania for more than 20 years, he said. Not a single guilty judge should believe that justice will be delayed. They should be convinced that justice will not forget them, Mr. Rama said. The Interior Minister, Sajmir Tahiri, stated that the memorandum aims to identify and catch smugglers. Although economic crime does not go although economic crime goes unnoticed by the public, it causes great damage, he said. This is why we have signed this memorandum of collaboration against tax evasion and smuggling. These crimes are killing the state and the future. We will do everything possible to bring those who commit financial crimes to justice, Tahiri said. The chief prosecutor has also given warning about coming audits and serious penalties for offenders. The prosecution supports this agreement, he said. We think that the business owners are able to evade taxes with the cooperation of tax and customs employees. We will conduct thorough investigations for all violators, both business owners and officials. All will face justice. We support the investigation teams working in the field, and we welcome the citizens to denounce any cases that they are aware of. Fiscal evasion must be denounced according to the law, said Chief Lala. As expected, there was a great deal of argument in the Parliament today over the decriminalization issue. Yesterday, the government adopted a draft law of its own, ignoring the draft of the Democrat-led Commission for Decriminalization. The parliamentary session today quickly broke into a series of accusations and insults, beginning with the Democrats accusing the government of destroying the possibility of consensus. The former Prime Minister Sali Berisha had this to say to the Assembly. I want to denounce the most unprecedented act in the recent 24 years, yesterday's action by the government. The head of the organized crime in Albania rejected the Parliament's decision and rejected the Constitution. If we do not have consensus, there is no democracy in this country. Mr. Berisha added that a mechanism that can dismantle a commission that has been voted on by the Assembly does not exist. He said that by this move, the government has killed all trust, and this has been authored by Edi Rama, who wants criminals in the Parliament. The majority members responded that the Democrats presented a unilateral initiative and that the members of the Commission can discuss both drafts. Prime Minister Rama answered Berisha by saying that the Commission is going to be dissolved because it is not doing anything. The Commission has done nothing, he said. The meetings have simply been propaganda. I have publicly declared that the government will present its own draft in September. We have consulted the Severino law. I never expected you to accept a joint product. There is a Democratic Party draft and an initiative of the government, and the process now comes down to the normal process of comparing and debating the documents. You did not present a joint product of the Commission, but the draft of the Democratic Party, which is unilateral. We cannot accept your inventions, the Prime Minister declared. The head of the Democratic Parliamentary Group, Edi Poloka, accused the Prime Minister of being solely responsible for the incrimination of the Parliament. He said, Rama is responsible for the incrimination of the Parliament and the administration, and of defending the incriminated. His own MPs are now in prison. There is a special commission on decriminalization, and their proposals must be included before the draft can be adopted by the government. Personally, I think that the Prime Minister does not want to take a drug test, declared Mr. Poloka. The U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu met today with the Democratic Chairman Lulzim Basha at the headquarters of the Democratic Party. The meeting was focused on the decriminalization issue, and afterward, Mr. Basha made the statement that decriminalization must be done according to the agreement of December. He said that if there is no political will from the majority, the decriminalization will be done by the people. Basha made the following comments after the meeting. We are having intense meetings and consultation with our partners. Decriminalization, or the removal of criminals from the Parliament and the local government of Albania, is a top priority. My party and I are determined to see this process through to the end. We have the support of our international partners, and we are determined to take all the steps that are necessary. We are focused on finding a solution within the framework of the Agreement of December to find a common and effective law, a law that will stop the incriminated from holding public office. If the government has the will to work on these principles, we will support them. If not, the opposition will make its own choices along with the citizens. Decriminalization will be done. The best scenario is to do it with the consensus of all parties. But if not, it will be done despite the lack of will from the government, declared the Democratic Chairman, Lulzim Basha. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all of our news for this evening. Thank you very much for watching. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time for more translated news in English. Thanks, and have a great night.